Sunlight slashed across Emma's face like a blade. She winced, groaning as her eyes fluttered open. Her head pounded like a bass drum. The room around her unfamiliar. Way too clean. Way too expensive. Soft white sheets. Plush pillows. Velvet curtains. Wait, a chandelier? She bolted upright. Where the hell am I? She muttered, rubbing her temples. And then she saw it, a ring. A simple, elegant gold band glittering on her left ring finger. Her blood ran cold. No, she whispered, eyes wide. No, 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 no. She flung the sheets back. She was wearing a silky champagne-colored slip. Definitely not hers. Her heels lay on the carpet. One of them was broken. The mini dress she did wear last night was crumpled over a velvet armchair, stained with what looked like champagne. On the nightstand, her purse lay open, and next to it, a thin white envelope. Hands trembling, she picked it up and pulled out the paper inside. Her eyes scanned the top. Marriage certificate. Name of bride, Emma Lillian Moore. Name of groom, Liam Nathaniel Knight. The world tilted. What the hell? Her heart thundered in her chest. She scrambled off the bed, frantically scanning the room. There was movement. In the corner, a tall man stood with his back to her, buttoning up a crisp white shirt. She froze. Who the hell? He turned. Slate gray eyes met hers. Dark hair slightly tousled. A faint scar above his left eyebrow. Strong jaw neatly shaven. And he was gorgeous. Like movie star gorgeous. But he looked as confused as she felt. He took a cautious step forward. You're awake. Emma's throat tightened. Who are you? He blinked. I was hoping you could tell me that. She pointed at him with one shaking hand. You were in my bed. It's my bed, technically. I booked the suite. Her eyes widened. What did you do to me? I didn't do anything, he said, both hands raised. I woke up 20 minutes ago. Hungover. Confused. Just like you. Emma's breath was shallow. The marriage certificate. He nodded slowly. Yeah, I saw it too. She rushed toward the desk, snatching the paper off the nightstand. She shoved it in his face. Tell me this is a prank. Please. Say you forged this. He scanned the document again. I don't think I'm that creative when I'm drunk. Emma stepped back. Her mind was spinning. This has to be a mistake. I don't even know you. He nodded, exhaling. Same. But, he lifted his hand. A matching band gleamed on his finger. It looks real. She dropped onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. I can't believe this. This can't be happening. He sat down carefully across from her. Okay, let's think. What do you remember from last night? Emma tried to rewind her mind. I was at Jenna's birthday party. That rooftop bar. There were shots. Someone brought out glow sticks. His lips curved slightly. Yeah, I remember the glow sticks. She stared at him. You were there. I think so. You were wearing a short black dress, right? Said something about how tequila made you smarter. She groaned. Oh God. That was me. He chuckled. You were ranting about your ex. Her eyes snapped to his. Wait. You were the guy who bought me the lemon drop shots? He raised an eyebrow. You said I looked like a walking heartbreak. I took that as a compliment. Emma felt her face heat up. I was drunk. I didn't mean. It's okay, he said, smile fading into something softer. We were both a mess. They sat in silence for a moment. Emma ran her fingers through her hair. So what now? Are we legally married? He shrugged. Looks like it. Unless that certificate is fake. She looked at him, really looked at him. Expensive watch. Designer shirt. Calm posture. This wasn't some random drunk. What do you do? She asked suddenly. He hesitated. Business. Helpful, she said dryly. And you? I work for an architecture firm. Office assistant. Low drama. Or, I did anyway. She stared at the ring again. I can't show up to work married to a total stranger. What if this gets out? He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. Look, I don't want drama either. So let's just handle this like adults. She looked up. Meaning? We go down to the courthouse. File for an annulment. Call it a wild mistake and move on. Emma blinked. That actually sounded reasonable. Okay. Yeah, that works. But what if it's not that easy? He gave her a half smile. We'll figure it out. She nodded slowly. Wait, what's your name again? He extended a hand. Liam Knight. She shook it reluctantly. Emma Moore. Their hands lingered a second longer than necessary. Then they let go. Emma stood, legs wobbling. I need a shower. And coffee. And a time machine. Liam chuckled. I'll order room service. She turned toward the bathroom, muttering under her breath. Of all the people in New York, I had to accidentally marry you. From behind her, she heard him say with a smirk, Hey, I'm not exactly thrilled either, Mrs. Knight. The door slammed, but Emma's heart was racing, and deep down, a strange little part of her was wondering, who was Liam Knight really, and why didn't this feel like a total mistake? The hotel room was quieter now, less chaotic but still awkward. Emma sat on the edge of the bed in a hotel robe, sipping black coffee like it was medicine. Liam stood near the window scrolling through his phone. You know, she said, staring into her cup, this has to be some kind of record. Getting married and regretting it in under 12 hours. Liam glanced over, a half smile tugging at his lips. I'm sure Vegas has seen worse. Emma rolled her eyes. This isn't even funny. My boss is going to think I ran off and got married in the middle of a project deadline. He arched an eyebrow. Assuming your boss even notices. She gave him a sharp look. He does. Sometimes. Liam put his phone down. Okay, let's just try to figure out how this happened. Emma sighed and rubbed her temples. All I remember is Jenna's party. I didn't even want to go. I was still miserable about Grant. Your ex. Yeah, the cheating snake. I wasn't going to show up, but Jenna guilt-tripped me. Said I needed to reclaim my glow. Whatever that means. Liam smirked. You definitely glowed. Mostly under UV light. Emma groaned. That rooftop bar was wild. Someone brought a fog machine. You danced on a table. Her head whipped toward him. I did not. He raised 3 fingers. Scout's honor. Emma slumped forward. Kill me now. He chuckled, then sat across from her. I remember. You dared me to do tequila body shots off a groomsman mannequin. She laughed in spite of herself. You did it. And you applauded. There was a beat of silence. Then Liam cleared his throat. After that, we left together. I think. Emma tried to piece it together. We went for pizza. I remember greasy pepperoni and laughing. You said I had bad taste in men. Not wrong, Liam muttered. She looked up. Then what? Liam's brow furrowed. We came here. More drinks. More talking. And then? He looked at her meaningfully. Neither of them said the rest out loud. Emma put down her coffee and stood. Okay, so we made a terrible tequila-fueled decision. Technically, we made a legal commitment, Liam said dryly. She shot him a glare. Don't get cute. We need to fix this. Immediately. Liam nodded. Agreed. He pulled his phone out again. I can call a driver. We'll go to the courthouse, get this annulled. No one has to know. Emma hesitated. Are annulments easy? I've got a good lawyer. Of course you do. They exchanged a look. It was still weird being married to a stranger, but at least they were on the same page now. Later that morning, city courthouse. The building buzzed with early morning chaos. Emma clutched her tote bag like a lifeline as she followed Liam through security. Do we even go in together? She whispered. We kind of have to, Liam said, glancing around. A clerk motioned them to a desk. Name. Emma Moore and Liam Knight, Liam said quickly. The clerk typed something into a computer. Marriage date. Emma flushed. Last night. The clerk blinked. You mean literally last night? Liam smiled politely. Yes. The clerk raised an eyebrow but didn't comment. Okay, and you're filing for an annulment? Yes, they said in unison. She nodded, then frowned at the screen. I'm afraid there's a processing delay. Due to backlogs, you'll have to wait 30 days before we can finalize this. Emma's jaw dropped. I'm sorry, what? It's a recent administrative hold, the clerk said, clearly bored with repeating the same news. You can file today, but it won't be legally processed for a month. You'll still be married until then. Emma turned to Liam, horrified. So I have to be fake married to you for a month? Liam's lips twitched. Could be worse. Emma stared at him. How? He leaned closer, smirking. I could snore. Or collect antique spoons. She blinked. You don't snore. Nope. Lucky you. The clerk handed them a packet. Here's your temporary marital filing status. You're legally bound until the annulment is completed. You'll both be notified when it's processed. Emma took the paper with numb fingers. Outside the courthouse, the sun felt too bright. Emma squinted at the sky, wishing she could rewind time. So, she said flatly, what are we supposed to do now? Just go back to our lives like everything's normal. Liam slipped on sunglasses. Pretty much. We don't tell anyone? Nope. She eyed him. Not even your parents? He laughed. They've been on a yacht in Monaco for 3 months. They wouldn't care. Emma's heart skipped. Are you rich? Liam tilted his head. You married me without Googling me. I'm kind of flattered. She rolled her eyes. Don't flatter yourself. It was tequila. They stood in silence for a moment. Liam finally said, Look, we just lay low. 30 days. We don't make a big deal out of this and then we're free. Easy. Emma nodded slowly. Easy, she echoed, though nothing about this felt easy. He opened the car door for her like a gentleman, and she slid in without thanking him. As the car pulled away from the courthouse, Emma stared at her reflection in the window, messy hair, tired eyes, a wedding ring that shouldn't be there. 30 days. That was it. What could possibly happen in 30 days? Liam glanced at her from the corner of his eye and smirked. The elevator doors slid open with a quiet ding. Emma clutched her travel mug with white-knuckled fingers, taking a deep breath before stepping into the buzzing office floor of Westbrook plus Lang architecture. The modern open-concept space was alive with chatter and the rhythmic tapping of keyboards. Nothing had changed, but everything felt different. Her heart thudded behind her ribcage as she passed coworkers, forcing a tight smile. She kept her head down, her mind still haunted by the events of the weekend. A wedding ring. A courthouse visit. A 30-day marriage to a man she barely knew. Emma gulped her coffee like it could wash away the anxiety. Emma! Her friend and co-assistant Riley waved from her desk. Thank God you're back. You missed chaos. Emma forced a smile. What happened? Westbrook resigned. Like poof. Gone. What? Emma blinked. Mr. Westbrook just left? Yeah. Boardroom meeting Friday night. Next thing we know, he's out. Something about burnout and going to live on a vineyard in Tuscany. Classic midlife crisis. Emma's brows furrowed. So who's running the firm now? Riley leaned in dramatically. We're meeting the new interim CEO today. Big team presentation in 15 minutes. Total mystery. Rumor has it he's this hotshot investor/architect. Super private. Super rich. Emma's stomach twisted. Hotshot. Rich. Private. No. No way. She shook the thought off. Pure coincidence. Right? 15 minutes later. Conference room A. The room was packed. Designers, associates, project leads. Everyone buzzing. Emma slid into a chair near the back, heart pounding. Do we know anything about this guy? Someone whispered behind her. Just that the board begged him to step in, someone else replied. He's got a crazy reputation. Took a failing firm in LA and tripled their value. The chatter stopped as the door opened. A man stepped in. Tall. Charcoal suit. Crisp white shirt. Confident stride. Emma's heart dropped to her stomach. No. It was Liam. She froze, eyes wide, blood draining from her face. Liam strode to the head of the table like he owned the room. Calm, poised, magnetic. Good morning, he said, voice smooth, commanding. I'm Liam Knight. I'll be acting as CEO of Westbrook plus Lang for the next quarter. Murmurs. Nods. Impressed stares. Emma couldn't breathe. Her husband, her tequila husband, was now her boss. He scanned the room with professional coolness. His gaze flicked over Emma and passed right by her. He didn't blink. Didn't flinch. Didn't acknowledge her. She sat frozen as Liam launched into a confident presentation about structural direction, modern urban planning, and refocusing on sustainable design. But Emma didn't hear a word. All she could think was, he knew. He knew she worked here. And he hadn't said a word. 30 minutes later, meeting over. People began filing out. Excited whispers about Liam Knight's background filled the hallway. Emma stayed seated, glued to her chair, hands clenched in her lap. Liam closed his laptop and turned. Emma, he said calmly. Her eyes snapped to his. He motioned subtly toward the hallway. She followed him out, jaw tight, every step heavy. He led her into a private office and closed the door behind them. The second it clicked shut, she exploded. You knew I worked here? Liam looked slightly taken aback, but not surprised. No, I didn't. Not until I walked into the room. She folded her arms. Seriously. I'm not lying, Emma. I don't memorize company rosters before I take over. Your name didn't come up on any briefing materials. Emma scoffed. Of all the companies in Manhattan, this one? I didn't plan this. You just conveniently became my boss the day after we got fake married? Liam held her gaze. Look, I get it. It's a shock. Emma let out a harsh laugh. A shock? Liam, I was already one court clerk away from a nervous breakdown. Now you're telling me I have to see your face every single day? He ran a hand through his hair. I didn't sign up for this either. She pointed a finger at him. Don't you dare pretend to be the victim. Liam stepped closer, voice lowering. Then what do you want me to do? Quit. Emma opened her mouth, closed it. He wouldn't, and part of her didn't want that. She looked away, feeling the humiliation crawl up her neck. You didn't even acknowledge me in there. He sighed. You think I could say, hey team, meet Emma, my surprise wife from a drunken wedding? Emma glared. You could have at least acted like you knew me. He gave her a long look. I was trying to protect you. Silence. Her heart was pounding again, but not from anger this time. Liam's voice softened. I didn't want people to talk. You didn't look ready. Emma blinked. He was right. She wasn't. But it didn't make it feel any less awful. After a pause, Liam stepped back, putting professional distance between them. Look, we keep it quiet. Business as usual. The fewer people who know, the better. We get through the next 30 days and then we go our separate ways. Emma nodded stiffly. Fine. He opened the door. Let me know if anyone gives you a hard time. She didn't answer. Just walked out head high. But as she crossed the hallway, passing coworkers who smiled and waved, all she could feel was a twisting knot in her stomach. She was married to the CEO, and she had no idea what kind of game she just stepped into. Emma had mastered the art of avoidance. She took the stairs instead of the elevator, ate lunch at odd hours, even pretended to be on calls whenever she passed Liam's office. But none of it worked, because he kept calling her into meetings. Emma, his assistant said for the third time that week, Mr. Knight wants you in conference room B in 5. Emma clenched her jaw. Again. Yes. She grabbed her notebook and muttered under her breath. He must enjoy torturing me. Conference room B. Liam stood at the head of the table, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened just enough to be annoying. The moment Emma walked in, his eyes flicked to hers. Professional. Cool. Like they'd never shared a hotel bed. Like he wasn't wearing a ring identical to hers. More, he said without emotion. Presentation deck? She handed it over with a forced smile. As requested, sir. He didn't even blink at her sarcasm. Good. Sit. Emma dropped into a seat, biting her tongue. The rest of the team trickled in. For the next 40 minutes, Liam was all business, strategic projections, team restructuring, departmental goals. Sharp. Focused. Cold. Exactly the opposite of the man she vaguely remembered from that wild night. The one who'd laughed with her over greasy pizza and danced in a hotel hallway. This Liam didn't laugh. He commanded. And it made her want to scream. Later that day, outside the office, they sat in a tiny corner booth of a coffee shop near the courthouse, waiting for yet another annulment-related signature. Emma stirred her tea aggressively. You really have to call me more in meetings? Liam didn't look up from his phone. I don't play favorites. Especially not with my temporary wife. Emma scoffed. Please. You've iced me out more than anyone else. He looked at her now, eyebrows raised. Would you rather I flirted with you in front of the team? She narrowed her eyes. You're impossible. And you're dramatic. She leaned across the table. I wouldn't have to be if I weren't legally chained to a walking iceberg. He smirked. At least I'm tall. Emma threw a napkin at him. He dodged it with a lazy grin, then his phone buzzed. Liam glanced down and stood. Annulment clerk's ready. Let's go. Outside the clerk's office. They stood in awkward silence, waiting for the documents. Emma stared at the floor. You act like you don't even know me half the time. Liam looked at her. Isn't that what we agreed on? She glanced up sharply. That doesn't mean you have to treat me like I'm invisible. There was a pause. His voice lowered. I don't think you're invisible, Emma. Her breath caught for just a second. But before she could reply, the clerk appeared, papers in hand. Business. Again. The moment was gone. The next morning office buzz. Did you hear? Riley whispered at Emma's desk. Knight saved the company. Emma blinked. What do you mean? Riley slid into the chair beside her. We were this close to being sold off last quarter. Westbrook tried to keep it quiet, but the numbers were ugly. Then the board pulled some strings and brought Liam Knight in. Emma's stomach turned. Wait, he knew about the financial situation? Apparently, he invested his own money to stabilize us. Millions. That's why the board gave him full control. And it's working. Clients are coming back. Projects are reviving. He might be cold, but the guy's a genius. Emma stared at her monitor, stunned. Liam had never mentioned that. Never once acted like a savior. Riley leaned closer. Also, rumor is he's ruthless. Fired a whole department in LA when they missed one deadline. Emma's mouth went dry. Yikes. And he doesn't date. Ever. He shows up to events alone. No social media. Total mystery man. Emma nodded slowly. Yeah, total mystery. She turned her chair back around, her head spinning. Who was Liam Knight? And why, if he was rich, brilliant, and heartless, had he married her even by accident? That evening, Liam's penthouse. They had to meet again to sign another batch of court-required statements. Emma stood stiffly in the elevator, arms crossed, her gaze fixed ahead. Liam let her in without a word. The place was sleek and modern. Floor-to-ceiling windows, black marble counters, everything sharp and perfect. Unlike her. She placed the papers on the kitchen island. Let's get this over with. Liam handed her a pen. They began signing. The silence stretched until it cracked. I didn't know you worked there, he said suddenly, voice quiet. Emma didn't look up. You've said that already. I mean it. She stopped writing. Why didn't you tell anyone you saved the company? He shrugged. Didn't matter. It kind of does. He met her eyes. To who? To me, she said, more softly than she expected. Liam hesitated. I don't like attention, he said finally. When people know what you've done, they expect more. Or worse, they feel entitled. Emma watched him. For someone who acts like he doesn't care, you hide a lot. He gave a wry smile. So do you. She looked away. Yeah, well, I'm not used to being interesting. He stepped closer. You're more interesting than most people I know. She blinked. The air between them shifted. Heavy. Charged. Neither moved. Then Emma cleared her throat, signing the last form quickly. Done. She turned to leave. But Liam stopped her with a quiet question. Do you ever wonder if we weren't that drunk? She froze. What? That night, he said. We talked. Laughed. Connected. Do you think maybe part of us wanted it? Emma's heart slammed in her chest. She looked over her shoulder at him, voice quiet. I don't know. I was heartbroken. Lonely. You were a stranger who made me forget. He nodded slowly. Still am. She hesitated, and then walked out. Emma was halfway through her third cup of instant ramen when her phone buzzed. Liam Knight. She stared at the screen, debating whether to ignore it. After their last cold and hot interaction, she wasn't in the mood for another tense, civil conversation that danced around feelings neither of them admitted to having. But she answered. Emma speaking. You're formal, Liam said. His voice was lower than usual, almost cautious. What do you want? There's a charity gala this Friday night. I need you to come. As my wife. Emma almost dropped her chopsticks. Excuse me. It's a black tie event. Orphanage fundraiser. But the press got wind of our situation. Her stomach turned. You mean the marriage? It's going to hit tabloids this weekend. I'd rather we present a united front before they start speculating. So you want me to dress up and pretend we're a loving couple? He hesitated. I want us to keep things simple. No drama. We show up, stay an hour, then leave. Emma sighed. I don't have a dress. Or heels. Or the desire. I'll have something delivered. Of course you will. He paused. Emma, please. It was the first time he'd used that word. Something in her softened just a fraction. Fine, she muttered. But if I get flash blindness from paparazzi, I'm sending you the optometrist bill. Friday night outside the gala. Emma stepped out of the car, tugging nervously at the hem of the floor-length emerald gown Liam's stylist had sent. The silk clung to her like second skin. Her heels felt like stilts. Her hair had been professionally styled, soft waves down one shoulder. She barely recognized herself in the reflection of the black-tinted SUV window. Then she looked up and saw Liam. In a tailored black tuxedo, bow tie sharp, hair perfectly in place, he looked like he'd stepped out of a billionaire bachelor magazine. But when he saw her, his eyes actually warmed. You look, he started, then cleared his throat. Stunning. Emma blinked. Thanks. You don't look too bad either. For a corporate tyrant. He smiled. A real slight genuine smile. Shall we? He offered his arm. She hesitated, then took it. Inside the gala. It was a shimmering ballroom straight out of a movie. Crystal chandeliers, a live string quartet, champagne fountains, and tables full of New York's wealthiest elite. And cameras. Flash. 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 Emma forced a smile as photographers called out. Liam. Over here. Is this your wife? What's her name again? Liam kept her close, answering with tight, dismissive professionalism. Emma Knight. Yes. We're keeping things private. Emma barely breathed through the whirlwind. They made it to a quieter corner near the silent auction tables. I feel like a zoo animal, she muttered. Liam handed her a glass of sparkling water. You're handling it well. I'm barely holding it together. He looked at her. They don't matter. Emma tilted her head. You say that like you believe it. He looked out over the crowd. These people know numbers. Wealth. Gossip. That's all. Real stories make them uncomfortable. She frowned. So why do you do this? His expression shifted. Softer. The orphanage we're funding. It's where my mother volunteered. Before she passed. Every dollar helps those kids get into better homes. Emma's heart paused. You never mentioned your mom. I don't talk about her much. Emma looked at him, really looked. But she mattered. Yeah. A rare smile touched his lips. She was kind. She believed in second chances, even when no one else did. For the first time, Emma saw him not as her cold boss, not as her accidental husband, but as a person, a son, a man carrying grief he never showed. She smiled. I think she'd be proud. He looked at her, something unspoken flickering in his eyes. Then, Liam. A sultry voice cut through the hum of music. Emma turned and instantly felt small. A tall, elegant woman approached. Silk red gown, diamonds around her neck, flawless makeup. She walked like she owned the room. Liam's jaw tightened. Vivian. Vivian kissed him on the cheek, lingering. I heard the rumors were true. You're married. Her eyes flicked to Emma. And this is the mystery wife? Emma stepped forward, chin high. Emma. Nice to meet you. Vivian offered a limp handshake. You're adorable. Emma stiffened. Vivian turned back to Liam. Darling, you didn't tell me you downgraded to domestic chic. Emma's chest burned. Liam's voice sharpened. Vivian. No need to be defensive, she purred. I'm just surprised. The Liam I knew never settled for less than perfection. Emma's hands curled into fists. Vivian smirked. Anyway, I won't keep you. I'm sure Emma has a lot of catching up to do. Like which fork is for the fish course. Emma stared at the woman as she sauntered off, laughing with a group of models. And then the heat rose to her face. She blinked fast, trying not to cry. I'm going, she said, voice shaking. Liam turned. Emma, don't. She backed away. This was a mistake. I don't belong here. I never did. Emma. No, she snapped, loud enough to make a few people glance over. You needed a body to fill a dress and silence the press. Mission accomplished. She turned and walked quickly through the ballroom, past chandeliers and marble, out into the night. Outside alone. Emma ripped off her heels as she walked barefoot down the street. Tears blurred her vision. She had tried to act like it didn't matter, that this fake marriage, this arrangement could be neat and clean. But tonight proved something else. She didn't fit in his world. Not among wealth, status, cameras, or exes who looked like magazine covers. She was just a mistake. And she wasn't sure how many more times she could survive being reminded of that. The office was quieter than usual the next morning. The soft clatter of keyboards and the low hum of printers were the only sounds. Emma sat alone in the empty break room, curled into the corner booth, a cold cup of coffee untouched in front of her. Her eyes were red, her makeup smudged, leftover traces from last night's disaster. She didn't care. Not about her borrowed dress crumpled in a bag under her desk. Not about the heels she'd thrown in a trash can on 8th Avenue. And definitely not about Liam Knight. Until his voice broke the silence. Emma. She didn't look up. If you're here to defend her, don't. I'm not, he said quietly. She wiped her nose with a napkin. How did you even find me? You weren't at your desk. Riley said you came in early. I checked here. She gave a bitter laugh. Of course. Always tracking. CEO instincts. There was silence. Then carefully he sat across from her. I'm sorry, Liam said. Emma blinked. For what? Letting your ex humiliate me? Or letting me walk out like a fool? He flinched at that. I didn't know Vivian would be there. If I had, I wouldn't have asked you to come. Emma stared at him, eyes watery. You just stood there. Said nothing. Let her mock me like I was nothing. He looked down at his hands. I froze, he said. Because part of me believed her. Emma stared, shocked. I've lived in that world so long, he continued. I forgot what it's like to feel small. To not belong. His voice was lower now. Strained. When my parents died, I was 17. They left behind debt, lawsuits, a mess. I built everything I have from scratch. Not for glory. Just to protect myself. To control what I could. Emma said nothing, eyes softening. I kept people at a distance. Built walls so high no one could reach me. But last night when she looked at you like that, and I didn't defend you, his voice cracked slightly. I hated myself. Emma swallowed. You looked beautiful, Emma. You didn't belong there. Not because you weren't good enough, but because they didn't deserve to breathe the same air as you. Her lip trembled. Why are you saying this now? Because I realized something, Liam said. You're the first person who's made me feel like I wasn't alone in years. Emma looked down. I'm used to being invisible. He frowned. You're not. My ex cheated on me with my friend. Said I was too predictable. Said I made him feel stuck. She gave a hollow laugh. I believed him. Liam's expression darkened. He was an idiot. I wanted to be a designer, she said quietly. Not just assist other people's dreams. But I shelved it. Like I always do. He watched her carefully. You talk like your life is over, he said gently. Sometimes it feels like it. He reached across the table, covering her hand with his. You're not invisible to me. Emma looked up. And in that moment the air between them changed. No sarcasm. No walls. Just two broken people, finally seeing each other clearly. That night Liam's penthouse. The apartment was warm, quiet. A gentle jazz melody drifted from hidden speakers. The city lights flickered beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. Emma stood barefoot in the kitchen, nursing a glass of wine, wearing one of Liam's oversized button-ups she'd changed into after spilling pasta on her blouse. She heard him behind her before he spoke. Jazz fan. Only if I'm pretending to be sophisticated. He chuckled. You pull it off. She turned. He was in a loose gray t-shirt, barefoot, casual, human. Liam walked over to the kitchen island and held out a hand. Dance with me. Emma blinked. What? No cameras. No expectations. Just you and me. She hesitated. then placed her hand in his. He pulled her gently into the living room. They swayed slowly, barely moving, his hand resting on the small of her back, hers over his shoulder. Their bodies fell into rhythm. She felt the steady beat of his heart, the warmth of his skin, the safety in his arms. "Are we crazy?" she whispered. He looked down at her. Completely. They both laughed softly. Then the laughter faded, and the silence filled with something else. He brushed a lock of hair behind her ear. His hand lingered against her cheek. Emma's breath hitched. Their faces were inches apart now. Her lips parted. His gaze dropped to her mouth, and just when it felt like they might, Emma stepped back. "I should go." Liam looked at her, jaw tense, but he nodded. "I'll get your coat." She waited by the door, heart racing. When he returned, she slipped on the coat without meeting his eyes. "Thanks for dinner," she said. "Thanks for the dance." Their eyes met one last time. Then she turned and walked out, leaving behind the man who, for one fleeting moment, made her believe she could be seen. The days slipped by faster than Emma expected. The calendar circled in red. Annulment finalization. Monday mocked her from the corner of her desk. She'd been telling herself it was a relief, a clean ending. But every time Liam walked past her in the office, or called her into another meeting, or offered her that quiet, unreadable look, her heart tugged in the opposite direction. And when he laughed, rare and real, it undid her completely. Which is why, when Riley burst into her cubicle one morning with wide eyes and a dramatic whisper, Emma's stomach dropped before she even heard the words. "You got promoted." Emma blinked. "What?" "Check your email." She opened her inbox. Subject: Promotion, Executive Assistant to Creative Lead, Special Projects. Her heart stopped. "What?" she breathed. "Everyone's talking about it," Riley whispered. "They're saying Knight handpicked you. No interview, no notice." Emma stood abruptly, ignoring the curious glances from her coworkers as she marched down the hall, straight to Liam's office. Liam's office door swings open. "You promoted me without telling me?" Emma snapped. Liam looked up from his laptop, calm as ever. "You earned it." "That's not the point." He set his pen down. "Then what is?" She walked toward his desk, voice low and shaking. "Do you think I need favors from my husband?" His jaw tightened. "This has nothing to do with." "Don't," she cut in. "Don't pretend this isn't complicated. You've led 2 major projects. Clients respect you. You've gone above and beyond for months, before we ever got married." She stared at him. "Then why not tell me?" "Because I knew you'd react like this," he said. "Like you don't deserve it." Emma's breath caught. "You don't get to tell me what I deserve." There was a pause. The room thickened with tension. Then Liam stood, walked around the desk, close. Too close. "Why are you really upset, Emma?" She swallowed. "Because you don't see me." "Not really." "I do," he said softly. "Every damn day." Her eyes shone. "Then why won't you admit it? That this isn't fake anymore?" "That maybe." He grabbed her by the waist, pulled her against him, and kissed her. No tequila. No accident. Just fire and want and every bottled-up emotion crashing at once. Emma gasped against his mouth, fingers gripping his shirt. His hands tangled in her hair as the kiss deepened. Urgent, real, desperate. When they finally broke apart, breathless, Liam whispered, "Tell me this isn't real." She didn't answer. Because it was. That night, Liam's penthouse. They didn't talk much. Words felt unnecessary now. They moved around each other like they'd done it 1,000 times. Her dress on the floor. His shirt tossed aside. Skin against skin, heartbeats crashing. It wasn't about lust. It was about surrender. When Liam whispered her name against her neck, Emma closed her eyes and let herself believe this was the beginning of something. Not the end. Morning light. Emma stirred beneath soft sheets. The penthouse was quiet. Sunlight painted gold streaks across the room. She stretched, smiling. And then she heard it. Liam's voice. Low. In the hallway. On the phone. She didn't mean to listen. But the words slipped through the door like daggers. Yes, the annulment's still scheduled. Her heart stopped. Just waiting for final confirmation. It's almost done. Silence. Emma sat up slowly. Reality slammed back into her like a freight train. Of course. Of course he hadn't changed the plan. Of course last night didn't mean anything to him. Just one last mistake. She got up quietly, dressed faster than she ever had. When Liam returned to the room, the bed was empty. And Emma was gone. Emma didn't come in on Monday. Or Tuesday. And when she did show up on Wednesday, her smile was brittle, her eyes unreadable, her movements sharp and mechanical, like she was going through the motions of a life she no longer belonged in. Liam noticed. He watched her from the glass wall of his office as she avoided his gaze, stayed buried in paperwork, left every room he entered. He wanted to say something. Explain. Ask what changed. But the message was clear. Stay away. So he did. Thursday, the envelope. The manila envelope arrived mid-morning. Thick. Heavy with finality. Emma stared at it on her desk, unmoving, while her coffee went cold beside it. Her fingers trembled as she pulled out the papers. Annulment, final documents. All it needed was 2 signatures. A clean slate. No obligations. No confusion. No him. She stared at the spot where her name was printed next to his. Emma Lillian Knight. The last time she would ever see it in writing. She picked up her pen and signed. No tears. No hesitation. Just heartbreak she didn't have the energy to show. She slipped the papers back into the envelope and stood. Liam's office. He looked up when she walked in. She didn't sit. Just placed the envelope on his desk. It's done, she said quietly. He stared at it. That fast. I didn't see a reason to wait. He didn't respond. Emma turned to leave. But just before she reached the door, his voice stopped her. Emma. She paused. He stood, his expression unreadable. Why won't you talk to me? She kept her back to him. There's nothing left to say. I thought. He trailed off as if the words burned. After that night, I thought maybe something had changed. Her voice cracked. Maybe it did. And maybe it doesn't matter. Silence. Then she walked out. And Liam sat down staring at the signature line. After a long moment he picked up the pen and signed. That night Emma's apartment. The apartment felt smaller than usual. Colder. Emma tossed her keys on the counter and leaned against the door, exhaling shakily. She walked to her dresser, opened the top drawer, and pulled out the gold ring. It gleamed softly under the lamplight. She stared at it for a long time. Then she dropped it in the drawer and shut it. Hard. The office the next week. The mood had shifted. People whispered more than they worked. Emails circulated with vague subject lines. Upcoming changes. Leadership shift. Transition planning. Emma walked past a group huddled by the coffee machine. I heard he's leaving, one whispered. Liam? Seriously. Apparently the board's already interviewing replacements. Emma kept walking. She didn't ask. Didn't listen. But the ache in her chest deepened. Friday afternoon, Riley's desk. You okay? Riley asked gently, leaning in. You've been kind of ghost mode lately. Emma gave a weak smile. Just tired. Riley hesitated. Look, I don't want to pry, but you and Liam. Something happened, didn't it? Emma froze. I saw you leave that event. You were upset. And now this promotion, the silence, the gossip. It's not hard to piece together. Emma looked at her friend. We got too close. And then it ended. Riley frowned. Did you end it? Emma didn't answer. Riley placed a hand on her arm. Sometimes what looks like an ending is just fear dressed up as logic. Emma blinked back tears. It felt real. But I wasn't enough for him. I was never supposed to be. Liam's office empty. Emma passed by later that day. The lights were off. No jacket slung over the chair. No coffee cup on the desk. No Liam. A post-it on the door in tidy handwriting. Working remote. Contact via email. And just like that he was gone. That night alone again. Emma curled up on her couch, watching the city lights blink through her window. She'd signed the papers. She'd let him walk away. But deep down, something inside her still whispered. It wasn't supposed to end like this. 3 weeks. That's how long it had been since Emma had seen Liam Knight in the flesh. His office remained dark. His name still sat on the door, but no one had stepped through it. Rumors swirled that he was consulting from afar, while the board quietly searched for a replacement. Emma hadn't asked questions. She didn't have the right anymore. Instead, she focused on moving forward. She updated her resume, reached out to former colleagues, took long walks through the city just to stay out of her apartment, because every corner of it still smelled like him. The quiet was the worst part. No more heated arguments. No more accidental hand brushes. No more late-night texts asking, "Did you eat?" He was just gone, and she'd let him go. Saturday morning, Emma's apartment. Emma sat cross-legged on her couch, sipping bitter coffee and staring blankly at a job listing titled, Junior Creative Coordinator, Entry Level. The words blurred. Her phone buzzed. A delivery notification. She shuffled to the door, opened it and froze. A slim cream-colored package rested on her welcome mat. No sender name. Just her own, handwritten in familiar script. She picked it up slowly, heart pounding. Inside the package was a single white envelope. No return address. Just her name again. Emma. She opened it with shaking fingers. Inside was a photo. Faded, grainy, but unmistakable. Herself and Liam, arm in arm, grinning like fools in front of a tacky Vegas-style backdrop. She was holding a plastic bouquet. He was wearing a crooked paper crown. Their faces were lit with joy. It was from that night. From their night. Taped to the back of the photo was a note. Handwritten. Liam's handwriting. That night was the happiest accident of my life. I just didn't realize it until I lost you. I know I hurt you. I know I made you feel like a placeholder when the truth is, you're the only person who ever saw me. The only one I ever wanted to see me. I didn't fight for us because I didn't think I deserved you. But I'm tired of running from the one thing that felt real. I still wear the ring. I never took it off. But it belongs with you. She reached back into the envelope. And there it was. The ring. Simple. Golden. Familiar. It glinted softly in her palm. Just like the first morning. Just like the beginning. Emma sank to the floor. The photo clutched to her chest. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Not hot, angry tears, but quiet ones. The kind you cry when the truth finally catches up to the lie you've been telling yourself. That it didn't matter. That it was just a mistake. That she didn't love him. But she did. She loved him. Not because of the kiss or the accidental wedding or the fairy tale gala nights. She loved him because in the quiet spaces, when the world wasn't watching, he had let her in. He had made room for her. And she had walked away. She wiped her cheeks, shaky but clear-eyed. No more pretending. No more waiting for someone to save her from her own feelings. This time she would fight. Later that afternoon, Riley's apartment. Okay, slow down, Riley said, handing Emma a tissue. He sent you the ring back? With a letter. Emma nodded, clutching the photo. And this wasn't like a guilt thing? It wasn't guilt, Emma whispered. It was real. He said it. Finally. Riley gave her a long look. So what are you gonna do? Emma exhaled. I'm going to find him. Riley grinned. Now that's the Emma I've been waiting for. That night, Emma's apartment. She stood in front of her mirror, breath steady, wearing the same dress she'd worn the night of the gala, the night it had all started to fall apart. But now her shoulders were squared. Her eyes were determined. She slipped the ring back onto her finger. Fit perfectly. And this time she wasn't going to let it go. Emma's heart pounded as she stepped out of the cab in front of Liam's penthouse. She buzzed the intercom with shaking fingers, still clutching the photo and ring in her coat pocket. Please be home. A click. Mr. Knight is not available, said a clipped, professional voice. His assistant. Emma leaned in. I need to speak with him. It's urgent. I'm sorry. He's already left for the airport. Her heart stopped. Airport. Yes. He's boarding a flight to London. Long-term development project. Departure within the hour. The line cut off. Emma stared at the intercom. London. He was leaving. For good. No, she whispered, spinning around. She flagged another cab, breath ragged. LaGuardia. Fast as you can. The driver took one look at her face and stepped on the gas. Inside the taxi, Emma stared out the window, traffic blurring into chaos. Her thoughts raced faster than the cab. What if he's already through security? What if he's gone? She gripped the ring in her hand. thumb brushing its smooth curve. Don't let me be too late, she whispered. LaGuardia Airport departures. Emma burst through the terminal doors, panting, hair a mess, coat flapping behind her. She scanned the flight board. Flight 89 New York to London Gate C12. She took off running. Down the escalator. Around tourists. Past a security guard yelling, "Ma'am, slow down." She didn't. Her lungs burned. Her heart thundered. Then through the crowd she saw him. Liam. Standing at gate C12, carry-on slung over one shoulder, boarding pass in hand. He was next in line. "No. Liam!" she yelled, desperate. He didn't hear. She ran harder, breathless. "Liam, wait." This time he turned. Their eyes locked. Time stopped. He blinked, stunned. "Emma." She stumbled to a stop, chest heaving. He stepped toward her. What are you doing here?" She laughed. Half breath, half sob. "What does it look like?" "I thought you wanted space." "You signed." "I know what I signed," she cut in. "I know what I said. But I was wrong." He stared, frozen. Emma reached into her pocket and pulled out the ring. Held it up, trembling. "I don't want an annulment," she said, voice cracking. "I want another beginning." The air between them pulsed. Liam dropped his bag. Hard. People around them turned, curious. But neither of them cared. He stepped closer, voice rough. "You sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." He swallowed hard, emotions warring behind his eyes. "Then marry me again," he said, voice barely above a whisper. This time on purpose. Emma nodded, tears falling now. "Yes. God, yes." He pulled her into him and kissed her. This time in front of everyone. No pretending. No secrets. No regrets. Applause broke out somewhere behind them. A flight attendant smiled knowingly. Someone took a photo. They didn't care. Because in that moment all that mattered was each other. And the future they were finally ready to choose. Together. The morning was quiet. Soft rays of sunlight filtered through the old chapel's stained glass windows, painting the pews in hues of rose and gold. It was a small ceremony, just 30 guests, a string quartet, and flowers. Emma had picked herself from a local vendor who cried when she heard the love story behind them. No media. No tabloids. No chaos. Just love. Emma stood in front of the mirror in the bridal suite, adjusting the delicate lace sleeves of her ivory gown. Her hair fell in soft curls, a small pearl clip tucked just behind her ear. She wasn't shaking. Not like last time, because this time it was real. There was a knock on the door. "Come in," she said, turning. Riley peeked in, already sniffling. "You ready?" Emma smiled. "More than I've ever been." Riley stepped in, squeezing her hand. "He's already crying, by the way. Totally gone the second the music started." Emma laughed. Nerves softening. "Good. He deserves it." Riley stepped back. "Let's get you married for real this time." Liam waited at the altar, dressed in a charcoal gray suit, no tie, just a simple white rose pinned to his lapel. His eyes never left her as she walked toward him. Not for a second. When Emma reached him, he took her hand gently and whispered, "You're still the most beautiful accident of my life." Emma beamed. "I'm about to become the most intentional part of yours." The guests chuckled as the officiant cleared his throat with a smile. And beneath that sun-drenched chapel ceiling, surrounded by friends, family, and forgiveness, they said the words that mattered. "I do." Reception, rooftop garden. Twinkle lights glowed as the sun set behind the city skyline. A soft breeze carried the scent of jasmine and laughter. Emma sat with her heels off, dress bunched around her knees, champagne in one hand. Liam joined her, rolling up his sleeves, 2 glasses in hand. "To us," he said, clinking hers. Emma raised a brow. "Not going to say anything dramatic first?" He leaned closer. "You're the writer." She smirked. "Fair." They sipped. The soft melody of a jazz trio floated through the air as Riley toasted with the microphone. "To the woman who accidentally married her boss and didn't run." Laughter rippled. Emma leaned into Liam's shoulder. "Do you ever think about that first morning? How insane it was?" He chuckled. "You screamed when you saw me. You deserved it. You called me a walking heartbreak." She grinned. "I was drunk, but not wrong." He kissed her temple. "You changed my life, Emma Moore." Night, she corrected with a smile. He looked at her like she hung the moon. Mrs. Knight. Later that night, quiet moment alone. They slipped away from the crowd for a moment, standing under a string of lights on the edge of the rooftop, city lights glittering below. Emma looked up at him, her voice soft. Do you think it would have happened anyway? If we hadn't gotten drunk that night? Liam took her hands in his. I don't know. Maybe. Eventually. He pulled her closer. But I think fate got tired of waiting. They kissed slowly, deliberately. No longer rushed, no longer unsure. When they broke apart, Emma whispered, "To one wild night." Liam smiled. And the best mistake we ever made. They clinked glasses again. And somewhere in the distance a camera flashed, not from a tabloid, not for a headline. Just a friend capturing a moment that neither of them would ever forget. The night their story finally came full circle.